Chapter 2 Under Thin Ice. Snow days were an abundance of fun as a child growing up in New England, and this day started as one of the best. I was about 9 or 10 years old, and heavy snow had closed all of our local schools. My friends and I donned our heavy snow clothes, grabbed our sleds, and proceeded to our favorite sledding hill, Fellsmere Park near the pond in Malden, Massachusetts. My sled was a metal blade radial flyer, and it moved really fast. I took good care of it, keeping the blade sharp and the nuts and bolts all tight. We made a few runs down the hill, packing down the snow, and the runs were getting pretty icy. It made for some bumpy rides, but we picked up a lot of speed down the ride, which translated into great fun. On one run down the hill, my sled hit a bump and banked hard left. I picked up speed in a turn and gripped tight as I bumped up and down, accelerating faster and faster. My sled hit a snowbank and I flew up into the air, and then crashed hard into a nearby icy pond, plummeting right through a sheet of ice and into the frigid water below. I held my breath and instantly felt the shock of cold seeping through my winter clothing. Each bit of water felt like tiny daggers as they touched my skin. I wailed and floundered underneath the water and swam upward as I kicked towards the surface. But the large chunks of ice were refreezing above me and I became trapped underwater. I tried to break through, but I could not. I could see my cousin through the icy water trying to break through with his hands to no avail. I didn't panic and I didn't flail. All I remember is the peace of the moment, the still and quiet of the icy water. My conscience faded to darkness. I later learned that a friend's dad used his son's sled to break through the ice and pull me out of the water as I was choking. He carried me up the hill to a local hospital, which was thankfully a short walk. I have a vague memory of being carried and awakening in the local hospital, but with no permanent damage and clear of hypothermia, we left, and a few hours later we were talking about the incident over hot cocoa at dinner. Before this incident, I was rather risk adverse. Having lived through the experience and seeing how close it brought my friends and I together, I found myself engaging in more and more risky activity as a youth. Sure, there were scrapes and bruises, but I always seemed to walk away to tell the tale another day. Living a life of adventure soon became second nature to me. As my friends and I recounted the day's events over cocoa that night, I was the center of attention. Everybody told their version of the story and how they contributed to saving me, but at the center of the story was me, and I loved being at the center. I don't know if it was conscious or subconscious, but I think this encouraged me to be the kid that others were always sharing adventurous stories about. One thing became evidently clear to me. Taking risks and going on adventure with my friends added a layer of safety rather than going solo, and there would be plenty more accounts of tales of peril in my future. I experienced many emotions during the course of the sledding incident. The day began with overwhelming joy, and then surprise when I crashed into the icy pond. I was overwhelmed with fear under the ice, but I never panicked. I recall a certain peace as I was floating underwater looking at my friends through the ice. After, in the hospital and at dinner, I was overwhelmed with the feeling of love. Everybody was thrilled to recount the excitement, but most happy that I was okay. Spending a few moments under the thin ice in near silence as life slowly froze out of my body had a profound impact on my future risky endeavors. Having survived the incident rather unscathed, it led me to participate in more risky activities. When my short life flashed before me under that ice, I tasted death for a moment. I instantly gained an appreciation for life, and I knew that I wanted to live it to the fullest. As my resiliency was tested, I became more determined than ever to live a life of adventure, but with an understanding that I needed to do so safely and in a responsible manner. Thus, another red pin was added to my map.